Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies, inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Get your documents, get your print management all under control. And the best part, real people in the state of North Carolina to help your small to medium-sized business with actual customer service. They'll even show up to your house like they did for Joe Giglio.
Sounds amazing to me.
Pretty
it's definitely
awesome.
helpful when you can't get your Wi-Fi to work and you still need your printer to work. So that's the kind of service you can count on from Copiers Plus.
I wonder if Copiers Plus can go to Charlotte and try to get Dave Canales rebooted, because he seems to be stuck in this information input error. I keep getting this IP address problem. Can you fix this? Because right now Dave Canales seems to be a little bit broken. As always, when it comes to the Panthers, and I learned my lesson initially with Dave Canales and the Carolina Panthers, don't go by what Dave tells you on Sunday.
Oh, no.
Wait until Monday to get a better idea of what's really going on, right?
Oh, no.
But a funny thing happened yesterday when he started getting grilled about Bryce Young. Context first. Andy Dalton was bad against Washington on Sunday.
Yeah, he did not put them in a position to be competitive in the football game.
So say the line. Say the line. Andy Dalton. No. Andy Dalton was bad on Sunday, Joe.
Yeah.
And then you say, how bad was he?
How bad was
So let's try this again. Joe, Andy Dalton was terrible on Sunday.
How terrible was he?
I liked your Hayden Christensen in there. Don't underestimate my power. How bad was he? Seth Walder, ESPN. Here are the 5 worst QBR games this season. Shout out to the Carolina Panthers, who have 2 quarterbacks on that list, both worse than Deshaun Watson, who's on this list twice. Andy Dalton currently number 1 with a total QBR of 3.2 in their 40-7 loss to the Washington Commanders. Bryce Young is 3rd with a QBR of 6.6 in the fateful Week 2 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers, 26-3. I bring this up to illustrate to you that Andy Dalton right now is not doing anything better at quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. So at this point, with the season essentially toast, why would you not go back to Bryce Young to see what he's got? Speed up the timeline you talked about. What's your timeline again for Bryce Young?
I said December.
Okay.
I'd rather see it with Brooks totally healthy. Give me the whole offense. Let Andy be the meat shield for about a month and try to get them all up to speed.
So here is Dave Canales during his Monday press conference, and he was, I would say, grilled for real this time.
Dave, obviously you guys, you made a big investment in Bryce. Before you were here, granted, 4 draft picks, a top wide receiver. Do you feel like this organization needs to get him out on the field to see if he can play, to see if he can be a franchise quarterback here? Does that need to happen?
Right now we're focused on the Broncos. Andy's playing this week, and that's really where our focus is at. And all those other conversations are all hypothetical conversations that, definitely Dan, Brant, that we have to have. But right now we're focused on playing the Broncos and, focus on getting Andy to take another step in terms of getting us back to good football.
Are they conversations that are ongoing, and are you a part of them?
Again, all hypothetical questions. We're focused on the Broncos and Andy.
But from a non-hypothetical standpoint, you have said multiple times that Andy gives you the best chance to win. You guys have lost 4 straight games. What does that say about what you guys need to do as a coaching staff to get more out of whatever Andy can do to help you guys?
Yeah, just get back to the basics. Andy'd be the first to tell you there's plays he'd love to have back from yesterday. And offensively, the guys would tell you same thing. It's not all on the quarterback. It's everybody playing, being where they're supposed to be, lining up properly. And that's the focus right now.
You have said before, or at least the week you benched Bryce, that you were not considering a trade of him. Has that changed?
Again, hypotheticals. This is stuff that Dan and Brant will be talking through, all those different processes. And right now my focus is to try to get us back to playing really good football.
So there you go. That's Dave Canales during the Monday press conference when he was getting, I thought, good questions from the key guys there who cover the Panthers, Joe Person, Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer. And it's awkward It's clearly awkward. I don't want to talk about hypotheticals. We're moving on to Cincinnati. Well, I'm sorry. My machine learning hasn't. No. We're on to Denver. We're focused on Denver. Well, you deal with hypotheticals as a head coach. You deal with hypotheticals of how do I think things are going to go on Sunday against this next opponent. So you deal with hypotheticals all the time, and in your brain, and when you talk to your coaching staff, the hypotheticals you play out in your brain, regardless of how bad Andy Dalton has played. And he just gave you, as I gave you the stats, the worst QBR of the season, worse than Bryce Young, that got benched after week 2 with that kind of QBR. The hypothetical in your brain still thinks that Andy Dalton gives you the best chance to win. What the hell does that say about Bryce Young? And I know people have been saying, Joe, you're too quick on this. You're too quick on this. I am not. Because clearly the Panthers and Dave Canales have made it abundantly clear, even though they won't directly say it, they've made it abundantly clear. They are done with Bryce Young. That is shocking to me in how they've handled it. Not that they're done with it, but they're just being really awkward about it now. It's getting kind of ugly in Charlotte, if it hadn't already before.
I would just caution you that it's probably a mistake to read too much into these press conferences for this specific reason.
Okay.
Last year, there was a veteran coach who either knew better or self-sabotaged by sharing too much information in a press conference. If I was handsome Dave Canales and I was a first-time coach and I saw what happened to the veteran coach who spoke out of turn in these press conferences, I would do exactly what he's doing right now for my own self-preservation.
Okay.
That's how I would approach it. Now, you give handsome Dave a little bit more experience, you give him a little bit more time, you give him a little bit more sense of confidence and security, and I think he could probably give better answers in terms of Bryce in this way.
Mm-hmm.
The messaging can be a little bit more positive. I know what I'm saying, though. I'm asking Dave Canales to be more positive.
I'm not wearing the positive vibes only shirt. Do we need to send one to Dave?
He could be positive in this way. There's a way to be real. And props to Joe Person, Mike K. And I'm sorry I didn't recognize the third voice there. These are all really good questions that are being asked of Dave Canales. And his answers are not great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his default mode is looking at what happened to Frank Reich and saying, I'm not getting myself into that situation.
That's
which
fair.
he already did earlier this year, by the way, by saying, this is my quarterback, this is my quarterback, this is my quarterback.
That's fair.
And then it was thrown back in his face. But I would say this, there's a way for Dave Canales to answer these questions by saying, yes, we have made a significant investment in Bryce Young. I am not ready to give up on Bryce Young, but I am working with Bryce Young. Behind the scenes, what we do is we put in work. We're trying to repair and make him the best possible quarterback. There's ways to say that without being a robot and saying, I'm on to Denver. That's a hypothetical. I'm on to Denver. I said to you yesterday on this podcast, I'm not trying to play semantical games. Well, handsome Dave's trying to play semantical games because I think he is, and he shouldn't be, but he's already in survival mode. He's also in smart mode in the sense that if I saw the person before me specifically get fired for speaking out of turn, I would probably do this. I would probably employ the same tactic.
Okay.
But I will say there is a way to be both optimistic and realistic while actually answering a question about what you're doing with Bryce Young.
I don't think Dave Canales, my last point I'll make on this, I don't think Dave Canales is capable of being honest is the wrong way to say it, but the filter that goes through his brain, like Joe Person asked him on Sunday, are you embarrassed? That was an embarrassing performance.
Yes, and he should have said there, yes, I am.
It's like, absolutely. I'm not asking him to go Gerard Mayo. We got a soft team. Right. Which, of course, we'll get to that in lightning round with Bill Belichick because that got interesting yesterday. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, his response to "Are you embarrassed?" was, "I'm honoring the guys who worked their butt off." What?
His messaging has been bad. I'm
actually going to try that at home when Kelly's like, "Hey, did I ask you to clean the litter box or like do X, Y, Z?" And I'm just going to go, "Honey, I am just here to honor."
The cats.
I'm here to honor my process
and their digestion efforts.
Yes, I'm here to honor the shit and kittens and how they go about these things. So yeah, I'm going to honor that. I'm not going to get focused on being embarrassed that I forgot to do it. No,
Yeah.
I'm going to honor the process. Honor the process. Speaking of process, we don't have to worry about the Carolina Panthers and NFC South tiebreakers.
No,
I don't think we have to worry about
no,
that.
we do not.
But we've been so caught up in Miami and Clemson, we are forgetting about SMU and some other teams in the ACC and what would happen as we approach the end of the season and we hit the tiebreakers. So you went to the ACC website and you looked at the tiebreakers, eh? Can you explain the tiebreakers like I'm 5 at this point?
Well, there's multiple steps. Obviously, you got one team, you got two teams, and if only Miami and Clemson show up in Charlotte at 8-0, you're just talking about who gets to wear the home team jersey and who doesn't. Right. But there is a very real situation where SMU can also go 8-0 because SMU, Clemson, and Miami don't play each other.
Mhm.
But now, if you start going through those lists of tiebreakers that the ACC has set up this year for the first time, because remember, this is their first real expanded schedule. There's no divisions, all those good things. When you look at the first 4 points on those tiebreakers, they're all related to either head-to-head or common opponents. Okay. Well, your common opponent, if you're all 8-0, your common opponents don't matter. You're all going to be unbeaten against common opponents, right? When you get to the 5th point, though, the 5th point is about the win-loss percentage of your conference opponents.
Ooh, that's bad for Clemson, by the way.
So now that becomes strength of schedule. It becomes strength of schedule.
Yeah.
So as I wrote today in the OG Fans newsletter, which you can subscribe to, try to wrap your brain around these 2 points for a second. All 3 of these teams do have a common opponent. It's Florida State. And so think about that just for a second. If one of them had not played Florida State, that would have been a benefit to not have Florida State's odorous 1-5 record on your strength of schedule, right? But say for the sanity of the ACC, it's a good thing that all of them have Florida State. Now try this. The combined record as we speak right now of SMU's opponents is 11-19. The big problem from SMU is they play Stanford and Cal. And while Cal has been spunky, they're still 0-4. Stanford's 1-3. So the reason as we speak right now, if we were to break this tie, that SMU would not be in the ACC championship game would be specifically that Stanford and Cal are a combined 1-7. Just as we all thought when SMU joined the league, right? It would be Stanford and Cal costing them a spot in the ACC championship game.
Man, I don't even SMU's got a pivotal game against Duke this week.
No,
and then next week they play Pitt because Pitt's also in this mix. So
Pitt is, but they have a lot of the common opponents. Pitt also plays Clemson.
Yeah.
So you can't get into a scenario where it would be Pitt, Miami, and Clemson. So right now, as we speak again, Miami 13-18, their opponents. Clemson 13-18, their opponents. SMU 11-19. One of the big swings could be Wake Forest. Duke could also be helpful, but Wake Forest right now is one of those teams that could potentially help.
Okay.
One of the groups, or Boston College. You go through it. I can post the whole list for everybody. My friend Patrick Stevens created a spreadsheet for me, of course. So we have tiebreakers that we can track now in real time. I will say this: Clemson's 5-0. They have the most difficult portion of the schedule left.
Yeah.
But I still have the most confidence in Clemson to pull that thing in at 8-0. They have Louisville, VT, and Pitt left. So they have 3 starchy games. 2 of those are on the road. Louisville is at home. Miami's only 3-0 in the league, and they've been playing with their food. So there's no guarantee.
I think that's just who they are.
There's no guarantee they get there at 8-0. And then SMU also 3-0. SMU after this week and next, they have a very manageable schedule.
So it's interesting you bring that up. David Hale of ESPN had put out FPI, record against FPI top 40. Miami is, I think, 3-0 right now against FPI top 40. The problem with Clemson is they're 0-1. You're looking at the Georgia. They haven't played anybody. But as you mentioned, the thing about Clemson, we're going to find out. We'll talk to Eric Mac Lain about it. We're going to find out real quick what Clemson is about soon. Over on DraftKings right now, you're not really going to get value for Clemson or Miami to win the ACC championship. But SMU is plus 650. right now on
Yeah,
DraftKings.
in part because they have to get in. You know what I mean?
Yep. Pittsburgh is plus 2,500.
Pitt has a tough schedule left. That I wasn't trying to leave Pitt out. They just would not be able to finish at unbeaten with Clemson and Miami.
It's funny. I was looking at to make the 2024 ACC championship game. Miami and Clemson are both minus 300.
Yeah.
SMU's plus 175. Virginia Tech's plus 700. Pittsburgh's plus 750. Syracuse is plus 1,800. Shout out to Boston College. You can put money down on that right now for plus 7,500 for Boston College to somehow make it to the ACC championship game. Just something to keep an eye on, right? Just something to keep an eye on. So that's all on DraftKings right now. And the other thing about DraftKings, as we get ready for the start of the NBA season, you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. NBA is finally back, and a new season means new ways to get into the action with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Joe has made his living on NBA quarters.
I mean, it's been a minute, but I do have the Celtics in the first quarter tonight.
Get back on the saddle, Joe. Get back on the saddle. Let's go. Let's go. Joe's all about quarters. I'm all about threes. And DraftKings has some really cool opportunities in there where you can put together like, $5 gang stand up. You like Steph Curry is going to have 8 threes. Jason Tatum's going to have 6 threes, like all kind of stuff, right? And if they all hit those parlays, you're good to go. That's the fun ways you can do things at DraftKings. So if you are a first-time customer for DraftKings and you use the promo code OG24, you will bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So every point counts on DraftKings Sportsbook. They got all sorts of boosts. They have their no sweat bets, all that kind of fun stuff. All you got to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that promo code OG24. Again, that's OG24. New customers will get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. I'm going to do something I haven't done in a while. I'm going to read the disclaimer.
Oh, you need some water? You good?
Raw. I do need water, actually. But anyway, I can do that in a second. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-9777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus and age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. Did I do it? I had one flub. I'll get better at it. It's been a while since I've read legal. Housekeeping brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
Giglio mentioned it. We've got OG fans. All you got to do is go to ogtrianglemedia.com to sign up today for as little as $13 a month. You can save if you buy the whole year. You get a month on us when you buy for the whole year.
That feels like some movie theater popcorn magic.
You also get some premium podcasts. Dimitri and I will do an OG on business this week. Plenty to get into. He's got some crazy theory about why College Game Day is going to Indiana this week that has something to do with Lee Corso. I'm curious about what he has to say about that. Tom Brady, and we also have the Rudy League as well, and ESPN's involvement or not in the Rudy League going forward. So all that is on ogtrianglemedia.com. We got our Breaking Tea quarterly invoice.
Nice.
People have purchased the Carolina Cougars shirt, Joe. I see you people. You're my people. So, but that was at the end of the quarter when we put that shirt out. So I expect more in the fourth quarter. So if you are interested in the Carolina Cougars shirt or more, like a Positive Vibes Only, go to breakingtea.com/OG. Again, that's breakingtea.com/OG. Big thanks to our friends over at Breeze Through. It is peak tailgating time between football and hockey. They've got you covered over at that Lenovo Center Carter Finley location, but football's still going strong, and they're conveniently located just outside about every major football stadium in the state of North Carolina for college. So what do? You got to Breeze Through. Go to breezethrough.com. They have wonderful snacks. You might need those snacks because you hit Nature's Relief. You know my play here. Double corporate champion dip. You go to Nature's Relief Hemp Store, get yourself some goodies, drop by a Breeze Through, get some salty snacks, head on home,
and then go home and safely consume
without driving, preferably on a Sunday while you have to watch the Panthers. If you're going to watch the Panthers, you might as well do it on Nature's Relief.
If you're going to have to watch a Dave Canales press conference,
You might as well do it on Nature's Relief.
Suspend belief in reality.
So go to naturesreliefhempstore.com. That's RELEAF hempstore.com. Now you're vibing, right? You got your snacks. You took your gummy. You're chilling. You know what would make it even better? You triple dip on the corporate champions because you are lounging in a rowback hoodie on your couch, melting into it, and it all aided by the comfiness of a rowback hoodie.
I'm going to try to pull those up on my phone. I realize.
Okay, go to rowback.com. Use the promo code OG20
I realize
to save 20% off your order.
But
what did you find? What are we doing here?
I feel like Ben is just specifically targeting me at this point.
What is that? Is that? Oh, are those lines?
Yes, it's a gambling
Oh,
shirt
geez.
on Rowback.
Yeah,
it's called, wait for it,
Yeah.
the money line.
Yeah, you should buy that right now. Is that a business expense?
It will be.
Okay, fair enough. You got your rowback on right now.
My state's on today, man, but the money line. Ooh.
Go to rowback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is Eric Mac Lain from the ACC Network. What do we got? What's that hoodie? Own the playoff?
It's an oldie but a goodie, man. First one. It's kind of interesting. Nike throwing out that we own the playoff. It was our first one we ever went to. That's a little reckless, but it turned out true. You know, going to like 6 or 7 straight. So
now here's
for this new 12 team, whatever that's going to be.
Here's my question, and I don't know if I'm revealing too much. I'm revealing too much. It is what it is. There was the shirt that put the spin on Clemsoning. That was Clemson King, right? But the Clemson Ing was in there, and that shirt never made it to market. But come on, there's got to be a closet somewhere with that hoodie.
Right, like there's somewhere. What third world country do we need to go visit to find these? Because they exist. They have to. That actually just resurfaced recently, which was really interesting. Peeling back the curtain more, I had one of those ordered. Like I was a pre-order. Never made it there.
Okay. Well, speaking of pre-orders, I feel like we're pre-ordering a Miami Clemson ACC championship. And I know, Joe, before you came on, we went through the ACC tiebreakers because SMU is legitimately in the mix and Pitt's not completely out of it. But to get into the wild stuff for the tiebreakers, it really comes down to Miami, Clemson, and SMU. But the reason I wanted to talk to you is because I feel like we are headed for a complete clash of what do you put stock in between Miami and Clemson. Okay.
Right.
I have been more bullish on Clemson the more I've watched them, even though their competition hasn't exactly been fantastic. And then Miami, you're just riding the lightning, right, with Cam Ward. And I feel like I think because we're trained in college football to see a quarterback like Cam Ward and go, I've seen this before at other places, where a quarterback can single-handedly save you, make the winning plays, keep you in the mix. And that's exactly what Miami has done, where they kind of play with their food, but you can always count on Cam Ward making a big play. Whereas Clemson is just kind of doing the work. Nothing sexy, but they believe in their development. They've looked pretty good along the way, even though the competition might not be at that level yet. That's going to change here soon. And this clash is going to be present, I think, in Charlotte. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, well, I think it's a great way to lay it out there. And, you know, as much as a homer as I am, wearing this sweatshirt, all those different things, I don't think there's any question. You look at, you know, the strength of record and who Clemson has been playing, that's what it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about to ramp up significantly, you know, when you see the teams that they have, you know, coming down the pipeline. And then, you know, we can judge even more of, okay, is this team, you know, kind of what we're thinking right now? Is this team who we believe they, you know, can be? And you know, where's it been for the last 3 years type of thing? And then with Miami, you know, it's really fascinating, man. These last 3 games, my phone's ringing right now. Here it goes. Who's calling? Let's make the play right. So it is fascinating how these guys have like these 9 lives and they're 3 down. So you got 6 left. Let's see if you don't use them all up before you get to something big there. But I love it. I mean, it's been fun to watch. You talk about Cam Ward, the things that he can do, man. It's electric. And it's starting to remind me a ton just of the kind of, I don't know, the aura, the pocket presence, awareness, obviously the production It's reminded me a lot of Joe Burrow his senior year and kind of coming out of nowhere, you know, at LSU.
Mhm.
I want to talk about the team on Clemson's schedule, not in the ACC.
Here we go. Here, this. Let's go. Joe.
Citadel.
Joe
Dude,
falls in
big
love
Citadel
hard,
guy.
man. No,
Love
I learned so much about Joe. Sometimes I'm like, this explains your entire high school and college experience because you fall hard, man. You fall hard.
I watched South Carolina play Alabama. Now they lost,
Yeah.
but I'm watching that game and I'm going, you know, I'd rather have South Carolina's roster than Clemson's.
You're an NC State fan. You're used to losing and stuff. So I would too. I get that. I get that. I totally understand that. It's comfortable. It's comfortable for you.
I watched that game. South
You'd
Carolina.
rather have a
Alabama.
quarterback that can't throw a forward pass. That's what you
Yeah,
want.
it's a thing, man. It's like, what are you
Quarterback.
talking
It
about?
was a little bit of a struggle, but
Hey, you can have them. We already had that too. DJU. I'm sure you
Yeah.
like Clemson in that roster too.
I watched the game that it legitimately reminded me of the NC State Clemson game from 2016. South Carolina's defensive front reminded me of that state defensive front from 2016. I was like, ooh. Now the running back's pretty good too. Obviously, the receiver is the darling of NCAA 25 Harbor. But are you peeking ahead just a little bit?
Sure.
At them
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, their defense is for real.
Yeah.
And that offense is terrible though. I mean,
It's not
how
great.
many points does Clemson have to score? 20, 17? I mean, is it like last year? It's 16 to whatever the score was there. But that defense is nasty. And I think the way that obviously the defensive line is playing, you just mentioned it. I mean, when you have a true freshman that is getting all kinds of love, you have a guy with 8.5 sacks who is, 6'5", 260. I mean, that's a weapon. That's something you have to, really pay attention to. So, yeah, no question. The good thing is it's in the Valley. Which I guess that hasn't mattered in the last 2 years. We flip-flopped with those guys, but that game is trending in a really nice light. If it's a night game, that's even obviously better for Clemson. I think they obviously a lot of talent and the secondary too. I mean, that pick that they had that just guy came out of nowhere against Alabama to reference that game was spectacular. And they have a bunch. I mean, you've got a guy with 4 picks in the backfield there. Certainly something to pay attention to, but yeah, offensively, man, it'll be fascinating. If it is a defensive struggle, that would surprise me. I think still Clemson, will be very comfortable in that game.
For us to get Predator here, it is still nice that South Carolina can beat a team on the road and that team like immediately fires somebody. That if that doesn't explain your station historically in life, that you're so bad that when you beat somebody, they're like, shit, man, we got to fire somebody.
We gotta get rid of
Somebody's
this
got
guy.
to answer for this. So the OC
And now
Oklahoma-
Kevin John's getting back in the mix, right? Is he
I
calling
think so.
plays or is he involved?
I don't know where you were on Team Venables, but his days are numbered there too. So you might have a new DC by next
I don't know
year.
if you've looked around, brother. We'll welcome him back. Come on
Okay.
home.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Come on home.
Perfect.
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of jokes about these super teams, super coordinator positions you can bring back. Venables, hey, Lincoln Riley might be looking for another gig too. I mean, hey, bring it back. Maybe Dabo's like,
Especially if you lose Garrett to
hey,
ECU.
right?
Now, this does get to my central question, though. Like, I say Clemson is just ACC good. Do you see something in this Clemson group that puts them back in the national conversation as opposed to just being able to dominate ACC teams?
Well, I think obviously you have the Georgia game, right? Where you're just like, yeah, makes a lot of sense to say something of that nature. I just think the team is so night and day different now from that game. I mean, from a confidence standpoint, from an execution standpoint, even play calling. I mean, you mentioned Garrett Riley there. Like, he's doing stuff right now that it's almost like we're looking around like, what took 2 years? What took 1.5 years to get to this moment? And I think a lot of it does have to come down to quarterback. I mean, just the confidence of Cade right now, the presence in the pocket, his ability and willingness to run, and just finding his guys. And I know Coach said yesterday, I think it was, he missed some layups in the Virginia game, but I still think that was one of his better games outside of that abysmal interception, where he was moving when he needed to, got the ball to guys that saw developing in the route tree, coming open, not just the first read. And that's what's impressive to me, man. So I'm not saying that any form or fashion right now that if Clemson was playing at this level, they beat Georgia in that game. But I would like to see it again. I would like to see how different it will be. Is that a closer game? Is that winning? What does it look like? Or is it still, Georgia being the king that they are right now and running through people? So, yeah, man, I don't think that it's clearly not the 2018 dominant team beating, the best team in the world ever by 30 in a national championship. But, yeah, I mean, I think this team can get into playoffs and make a run for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably looking at 2 ACC squads in the playoffs. I mean, if we're going to get a Miami, Clemson, ACC championship game in Charlotte, both those teams are going to be making it to the playoff.
Right.
You might be able to get that
question.
Georgia game, by the way, because if Clemson's the 3 seed, you're talking the 6-11 winner. I'm just extrapolating a lot here, but it could be the SEC team.
Although Kirby did make a point against Texas this past weekend.
Oh yeah,
So for sure.
no, I mean, it could be either one of them.
Because
That's what I'm saying. You want Penn State. If you're IPTE, you're like, Penn State, come on down. We'll play this game at night. We'll show you where the real valley is. We'll show you what happens at night.
Back, Joe. Now we're back. Come on.
I'm on board for that. But if you get Texas over there,
Oh boy. Speaking of,
I don't know if I'm afraid of Texas anymore. I mean, they look pretty mortal. But who doesn't against Georgia? Who does? And that's honestly
Alabama.
why I think this 12 team is going to be so crazy.
I agree.
It's going to be nuts because we're probably going to have some people, and it's probably going to be SEC teams that are ranked lower that are just going to blow through people. I mean, they're just going to wreck stuff. I can't wait to see it. It feels like, and maybe it has other years, but we're just so hyper focused on it. It feels like the perfect year for an expanded playoff. Because we have no idea. I mean, the longest team ranked number 1 was what, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe. We've just had crazy turnover in, great games.
And I got news for you, Oregon, and you know this. When you're number 1, it's different. Oregon getting Brett Bielema this week. They better be on high alert
for sure. I can't wait, man. It's going to be legit. So much fun.
Speaking of being back, is Dave Dorn at NC State, in your opinion, back on a Dave Dorn special? Everything's lost. Everybody's mad.
Your second favorite team.
Everybody's mad about this stuff. And then they, poor Cal, man. Cal's got what, 0-4 in the ACC, I think by a combined 9 points, right?
Welcome.
So there's the league. Right. The meat grinder that is the ACC. But no, I mean, Dave's got a track record of doing this, right? Everybody's checked out on the Wolfpack. Everybody's mad. And he'll probably cobble together something to go the rest of the way with a manageable schedule. And Joe and I talked about this yesterday. I'm curious your thoughts on what you've seen out of CJ Bailey, because once they threw him into the fire in the Clemson game, it was like, if you can survive that, there's something there. Right. And I feel like that Cal game, he's the ACC player of the week. I feel like that's NC State's future right there, man. I mean, I think it's simple as that. The future starts now for NC State with CJ Bailey. And they have a manageable schedule the rest of the way.
No question. And I mean, you talk about that Clemson game, first start in the Valley. I mean, that was great by him. I thought he did a really good job. Thought he avoided pressure, got out in space, got the ball downfield effectively. And then against Cal, a team that has given other opposing quarterbacks fits. He was excellent, super efficient, over 70%, 300 yards, couple of touchdowns. There's no question. I mean, I think you're fully invested in that guy. And now, there is that excitement for other wide receivers, for the receivers on the team. And, everybody kind of involved to just rally and say, let's get behind this cat. Let's go. Let's keep building. And man, if he adds 20 something pounds by the time he's a junior, look out. I mean, he's going to be an absolute problem. So now, you're just looking at how can we continue to surround him? How do we evolve the offense to best fit him? And I think that's the interesting thing too, with Anai these last couple of years, we haven't seen him just have his system for a year, and a season. It's had to change during the season based on who's in. And it's just like, gosh, it's frustrating for everybody, I know. But yeah, I love
Joe's making a face. Joe's making a face. You say, by his junior year. Of course, I know what Joe's thinking.
You love to show those tiger stripes and just assume everybody gets to hang on to their players. And
he'll look good. He'll look good in Clemson orange.
Right? It won't be that orange. It might be a different orange.
Transfers. That's right.
It might be back home. They're losing
right. That's what I'm saying, man. You got to be on high alert for this stuff.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Eric Mac Lain, ACC Network, ESPN. Hey, man, we appreciate the time as always. We will talk to you later.
No doubt. Appreciate you guys. Keep killing it.
Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check them out at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. You might have a variety of legal needs, something as simple and personal like a traffic violation, or you have a small to medium-sized business and you need contracts hammered out. Whitaker and Hamer can help you out. Speaking of contracts, maybe you want to be under contract selling your home. Well, the way to do that, to buy and sell with confidence, is with our friends at Hometown Realty. Check them out, myhtr.com. I see the big sign every time I go out to the Polar Ice House in Garner, and HTR is getting it done for the listeners in the area. Again, go to myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence because these guaranteed offers, man, let me tell you, you are leaving money on the table, Joe.
Yeah. Also know what you can afford too. So you buy, sell, you calculate, do all that with confidence. It's myhtr.com.
Big thanks to Homefield. Homefieldapparel.com is the website. You can use the promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. I went to Sturgill Simpson last night, and I'm going to be going again tonight because he has 2 shows over at Coca Booth. And I was rocking my Homefield, one of several Homefield hoodies that I have, the fleece line one, because, the sun goes, we're in that time of the year in North Carolina where it's in the 70s during the day, but once that sun goes down, it's a little chilly. I was super comfy in my Homefield watching Sturgill absolutely melt a guitar. So go to homefieldapparel.com, use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, which, by the way, you can sell your car to Heister Automotive Group. It's Mike Maniscalco, play-by-play voice for the Carolina Hurricanes. He is freezing his ass off in Edmonton right now.
Hey, I'm freezing my keister, but I would still get it to Heister.
Look at Mike supporting the corporate champions.
It's almost like he's done radio before.
Yeah, weird. He's a professional, right? He's a professional.
Some habits just die hard, Joe.
I know. Just like I have an affinity for crap beer. And are they still selling what was it called? It's like Kokanee.
Oh yeah.
They still selling Kokanee out that way?
I sampled on Sunday. Yeah.
Good for you, man. Good for you. All right. 4 games into the season. I think the Canes have already run the entire gamut of a typical Rod Brindamore season in the course of 4 games. Right?
Yeah.
They start things off with, I don't even know what that was. In a loss to Tampa. They put the hammer down on New Jersey, who's the darling. They have a game, if I recall correctly, a game in which they dominate Pittsburgh, but the score might not reflect that. And then, of course, you've got the dominate play, but they come out with a loss to St. Louis. Is that a good, just run the whole race of Carolina Hurricanes discourse in 4 games?
Yeah, if you want to give the Cliff Notes version to everybody, yeah, that's exactly what happened. But it's the funny thing for me is when it's this early, you just want to see, does this team play to its identity, which they didn't do at all in Tampa. And that was the first, as you mentioned, the first iteration where Rod Brindamore comes out and goes, I don't even know what that was. The last 9 periods of hockey, it's been what the Canes are supposed to do.
Yeah.
And in St. Louis, what it really boiled down to was they made mistakes managing the puck. And St. Louis made them pay for it. And not to, this isn't the throwing shade one way or the other, but that's the game where, okay, you need a save from Pyotr Kochetkov when one of those moments happens, and you didn't get it. I would tell you, probably for about 45 minutes, they were the dominant team. The analytics would tell you that the Canes were dominant in that game. And they came out with the L, but it's one of those things where, and I hate because it goes back to Philadelphia, it's about the process and what we have to do. But if you put that game on the ice, they're going to win the majority of their games this year. It's just the one where it didn't happen.
A, are you excited to see Jeff Skinner tonight? B, is it really possible that our to borrow a phrase from Dimitri, our sweet young prince is really 32 now?
No, he's still our sweet young prince who's having people ask him to prom. That's no, can't be. He can't be in his 30s.
I mean, he will be forever young in our hearts. Yeah, I'm always excited to see Jeff. It's weird. He was 18 when he got into the league, and I was covering the team, and a lot of cool moments with Jeff for those dark days of the Hurricanes franchise. Like that first year he got here, that was the closest thing I'll be to Beatlemania, where anywhere he went, it was just an absolute mob scene of people wanting to be a part of him and be around it. I do have a real quick story about now that he's 32. So a few years ago in Buffalo, I'm at the Sabres morning skate, and he walks by and he kind of looks at me and keeps walking, and I'm like, Jeffrey, you don't have time to say hello? He stops and turns around, and we're talking a little bit, and I go, well, how are things going here? And he goes, oh, the kids here are going to be, and I go, kids? What are you talking about? Kids? You're a kid. He goes, I'm 30, man. I'm old now. And I just kind of rolled my eyes at it. But yeah, I'm always excited to see Jeff, and this is a big year for Jeff Skinner. If this Oilers team doesn't get in the playoffs, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
do I have the stat correctly? Jeff Skinner has never been in the postseason.
Zero playoff games.
That is insane to me.
He was dealt to Buffalo right before the Canes go on their run, and he spent 6 years up there, and that team has been an absolute fucking dumpster fires. I mean, that team's been trying to figure their way out for over a decade now, and now he's with the team that went to the Stanley Cup final. So we'll see. I am always
if they don't make the postseason, then like Jeff Skinner's going to have to do some soul searching.
Well, the Oilers are off to another slow start, and people are wringing their hands. What are they going to do? But when you've got Connor McDavid, I don't think you have to worry too much about your team.
It's a good point.
I was going to say, I know how much you enjoy my President's Trophy. How do you feel about the team who loses the Stanley Cup, though?
The Panthers won it last year, and they lost it 2 years ago. So, I mean, there is something to it. I think there's a little something to you get that far and lose it, and then you start to get players poached from you. It's funny because St. Louis offer sheeted 2 Edmonton Oilers players in Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway, and the funny thing was the city of Montreal didn't go crazy over that. I thought they would, but they did not. And, that's what happens. You lose good players from those teams. And, for the Oilers, I think because they have the 2 best players in the world right now in McDavid and Draisaitl, they'll get it figured out. They'll be all right. The Western Conference is kind of weird to me because I think who everybody is. There's no who's the surprise team going to be. Like in the East, you have a bunch of teams that, we think this is the 8, but there are teams like, all right, well, what are the Caps? Does Pittsburgh figure it out? Are the Islanders going to be what they've been for the last 10 years, which is somehow get into the playoffs because, they're boring, but they win. Out West, you just know that at some point McDavid and Draisaitl are going to score a whole bunch of points. You just hope it isn't going to happen tonight if you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan.
All right, Mike, I've been told, you go in the off season, you ask, what are areas that we can improve, right? Mm-hmm. And one thing that was expressed to me when it came to our conversations about the Carolina Hurricanes, they're like, man, I need you to be less vibes, more a little nitty gritty,
super hockey,
a little more hockey. So I want to discuss defensive pairings if we can get it. I almost feel like we need a sounder for we're about to get.
Joe Ovies, hockey dad, talks hockey.
I need to go get the jacket out of my car.
I was going to say, where's the jacket if we're going to do this?
ACCN, right? But I don't know. We need some dumb stinger like in the crease with Mike Maniscalco or something ridiculous like that, right? Let's talk.
It's not a Levitra commercial.
Are you having trouble there? I mean, if look, Blue Chew's spending a lot of money on podcasts. If they want to jump on board, man, get in the crease. Let's go, right? Anyway.
I'm glad Giglio brought it up. I'm like, should I be in the bathtub for this now?
Is your power play. Anyway.
I'm glad you stopped there, Ovies, because for a second I'm like, he's gonna ask oh no, I know he's
no. Yeah. Are you just not generating enough energy on the fourth line? Okay. There you go. Anyway, Mike is totally regretting coming on. There's not enough rowback polos we can give him for this sort of thing.
The last one was glorious, though.
It is glorious.
Anyway, if I could be hockey here, right? A lot of concern over the defensive pairings and who you lost. But it seems like Eric Tulsky, I'm going to find value in these contracts, seems to have found value for, as Tom Edwards has put it, the Ghost Walker line defensive pairing. The Ghost Walker.
Yeah.
You like that?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Okay,
So
that's fine. That's fine. In all seriousness, though, again, it's just 4 games in, but so far, I think people have been very happy with what they've seen in that pairing.
Yeah, and as well they should. And I think part of it for me was, well, one, with Shane Gostisbehere, while it was a tiny sample size 2 years ago when they traded for him at the deadline, this was a guy who, when he came into Carolina, well, we knew he had offense, but could he play the other side? The way that the Canes play suits what he did, what he does. I just want to make sure that I have his numbers like really right for what he did with his brief stint with the Canes. So give me one moment.
As he goes to the notes. You want a hockey EEE. Look at Maniscalco getting in the crease.
So 23 games with the Canes 2 years ago, 3 goals and 7 assists. That's a quarter of the season sample size. He goes to Detroit and he has a monster year with 10 goals, puts up 60 points, and was great on the power play. So he was going to be a fit. And I don't think that you have to worry about him being brought up to speed because he knew, okay, this is what's expected, what I have to do. Walker was going to be the guy because, look, you're replacing a pairing of Brett Pesce and Brady Shea that they were on the ice against the McDavids. I hate when people pluralize that. There's only one Connor McDavid. They were on the ice against McDavid. They were on the ice against Crosby. Like, there was no fear in putting that defensive pairing out against them. Well, what Sean Walker does is the way he plays. Now, he's not Brett Pesce, but that can, in certain areas, be a good thing, and it's a bad thing in others because the way that Pesce played in the system and can block shots and what he could do on the penalty kill. But Walker, the way he skates and the way he can move the puck, the way he can jump in, he can hit. He is a gem. And look, Philadelphia wanted to keep him. And then Colorado, he was one of these guys who was low key when he got to free agency. There were teams, trailing him going, hey, we want you to come here. You can play with this. Walker said the reason why he picked Carolina is, the winning's a good thing. He goes, the way that this team plays suits what I do. And then those two guys, they play really well together. I mean, that was a pairing where, there was going to be some concern of, well, are you going to have to break up, Burns and Slavin to make this fit some way? Or are you going to have to break up Orlov and Chatfield, who, they were the duo that, hey, they've demanded more ice time with what they played this year. And the best thing that's happened is, no, Gostisbehere and Walker fit, and you can keep them together. And the way that this season's going to move on, I don't think that the learning curve is going to be that steep for either of them. So, yeah, it was. You have to, in today's day and age, especially in the salary cap, you have to find and target guys who fit what we do. And if you want to call them bargains, you go right ahead. I mean, they're making good money, but these are guys who I really think as the year moves on, and Shane Willis and I talked about it on Canes Cast. There's a plug for the podcast that I do host. We talked about how Walker is going to be the right fit for this team. And so far through 4 games, hasn't proven Shane wrong or hasn't proven me wrong with that thought.
Have you come up with a ridiculous country music tag for Jackson Blake every time he scores? Like whiskey, beer, and something.
I'm going to leave
Blake.
I'm going to leave that for Trip now.
Okay.
Because I hopefully this one doesn't run all season, but I know how it's going to go. Somehow I picked up the moniker Cowboy on this trip. And
you have?
Yes, me. I don't own cowboy boots. I do not have a cowboy hat, but I am now Cowboy. So, when you're with Trip, you got to lean into it. So
what happened to Big
that's
Rig?
fun. Hell if I know, man. Your nickname chooses you.
Big Rig.
Hey, man, I don't make these rules. I just go with it. But it's weird because I'm not into nicknames because like sometimes now you have the obvious confused face. Like, why did this happen? But you gotta wear it. So I was thinking through like, if I'm Cowboy, if I have to call Trip something other than Trip, I went through like my vast Western knowledge of all of the Westerns that I watched as a kid. And the only one I could come up with was Tiny. Because there was like always a Tiny on the Chuck wagon or something, or in the gang. So
it's true.
I mean, we're in Western Canada. Saddle up, boys.
All right. On that note, Mike Maniscalco, Cowboy. I can't call you that. You're always just going to be Mike to me. Sorry, you're stuck with that. All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Did we just take a hockey break with Mike Maniscalco?
We did. Officially.
Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
You are looking for healthy yet filling options at Lenovo Center? Happy and Hail has you. Go visit their cart. They even got the smoothies at the cart as well. So big thanks to Happy and Hail. I will be hitting Happy and Hail today because I am continuing the beige food detox and also in preparation for the fair because I'm going to go to the fair tomorrow. So I need to make sure that I'm right when it comes to that. So download the app too. It makes it really easy for you to get and going.
I went yesterday. Got the Bueno Bowl.
That's my go-to, man.
I mean, it's kind of hard to beat.
That is kind of my go-to. So big thanks to Happy and Hail for being a corporate champion. When we're done here, guess where Joe's going? I think you and I will be going to O2 Fitness, but not at the same time. You'll be going for Renew Physiotherapy because it is more than a gym.
Yes.
Renew Physiotherapy is going to get Giglio's neck right. I will be going, because you got to keep the main thing, the gym at Seaboard, because I got to sweat some of this evil out of me. Okay. Man, my food intake has been, that's why I mentioned Happy and Hail. My food intake has just been garbage. So I got to sweat it out. That's what you do at O2 Fitness. Joe's neck is garbage, but they're trying to fix it.
Yeah. Chapel Hill, Durham. You've got 5 locations right now in Raleigh, Holly Springs, Morrisville, coming to Wake Forest soon too. So I always say, and I think this is a truism, kind of like you die with your fastball.
Mm-hmm.
If your gym is near you, you're going to go. If you have to make an effort to go to the gym, it's a problem.
Yeah.
For people like me.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. That makes
for
total
normal
sense.
people, like location. So all of their locations, please check them out. O2fitnessclubs.com.
Big thanks to Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. Bugsbite.com is the website. You can bundle and save with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. As things start to cool off, you might not be worried about mosquitoes on the outside of the house. That's fine. But as it gets cold, critters are looking for that warmth, looking for that moisture. Well, Pest Authority can handle that. All you need to do is go to bugsbite.com. Of course, the lightning round is brought to you by Sam Jones Barbecue. We're actually going to talk about Sam Jones here in a little bit. But in the meantime, Joe, you are still on the NFL sucks kick, even though the NFC North has been bonkers and entertaining. I think last night's Monday Night Football game between the Ravens and the Buccaneers, high scoring game, but the Ravens were dominant. They are the antithesis of the Chiefs, which we'll get to in a second. In terms of when you watch them, you're thrilled by what you're watching. Did you actually watch the ESPN Plus game?
I did.
Well, no wonder you think the NFL sucks. There's a reason why they put that game on ESPN Plus.
Sometimes I really hate Jim Harbaugh. I mean, it's me, operator error, but that game
that's
was
fine.
Gross. But you're right. Hey, we finally got an interesting game. It was the Ravens and the Buccaneers. So look at that. We got 2 interesting games this week, just right at the quota that I've been setting for the NFL this season. And we had the Lions and Vikings this week, and we had last night's Ravens and Bucks. And last night's Ravens and Bucks, let's be perfectly clear, was only interesting for gambling reasons. So
what at the end? Well,
yeah. I mean, and I think they kind of leaned into it. I saw enough tweets to be like, Lions 3.5. Are they going to kick this field goal? Will they be down? And I was like, I have no problem given how much money the NFL takes from gambling companies for them leaning in, if you will, the old Bill Simmons idea of there should be a gambling broadcast.
I guess.
Yeah,
sure. Why not? Whatever. I wouldn't watch it. Just like I stopped watching the Manningcast. The Manningcast has kind of turned into if something happened on the Manningcast, I'll see it on social media the next day.
The Manningcast is the Belichick cast now.
Speaking of which,
Topics stack it up. Giglio's roll back it up. Well, I know what we'll do. A lightning round.
So this was not on the Manningcast that Bill Belichick will pop on. This was on the Let's Go podcast that Jim Gray does, right? That I guess Tom Brady occasionally pops on. Anyway, so New England goes to, they play their European game, and Gerard Mayo calls his team soft. Okay, fine. Whatever. Belichick goes on the Let's Go podcast yesterday, and he goes, huh. I mean, that's not how I would. I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, that's not how I would have done it. I mean, there is some accountability. You coach them. If they're soft, it's because of you. And last time I checked, that defense was one of the better defenses in the league last year. And now they're 26th in various metrics and whatnot. And you could just kind of tell that Bill Belichick was relishing in the fact of saying, huh, you guys are getting on my ass about how things were ending there in New England. Now we've got this coach doing his thing. And I'm going to go ahead and put him on blast. Clearly, Bill Belichick he has not accepted how things ended in New England, where he's taking great delight in pointing out how bad they are. Even though he has a big reason, he's a big reason why they're bad.
He's the number one reason.
Yes.
Why he stopped being able to draft.
Right.
He missed on his draft picks. He was incapable of adding players on offense who could make a difference in the football game. You know what I thought about? Well, I actually watched the Patriots this week. Like this again, operator error. I'm watching too many of these freaking games. Okay. Poor Jared Mayo. He needs to either get a PR person or he needs to get the Mac Brown music in his ears.
Okay.
They showed him on the sidelines for no less than 8 or 9 different times. Do you know how many times he was actually talking on the sidelines when they cut to him on the sidelines with his headset on?
0 times.
Joe, if I had editing skills, I would put together a super cut of what does Jared Mayo actually do during the game?
Fair.
Now, in fairness, the Patriots were on offense. I don't think he's involved in the play calling on offense, right? He's from the defensive side. But I would be furious. I would be, just as the one time the Mike Krzyzewski graphic from ESPN, Mike used to call the paper and be like, why did you run this picture of me? I look angry in this picture.
Yeah.
Because you were angry? Yeah, but we won by 40. Right, but you're still angry when you win by 40. Like if I was Jared Mayo and his people, I would be furious for the number of times they showed him and he's just sitting there like a deer in headlights. And I'm like, oh my God, this poor bastard.
I wonder if because
it's hard enough. It's hard enough to be the guy after the guy. As it is.
It is, and it also doesn't help. It also doesn't help that if I'm Gerard Mayo, I'm like, don't I have your kid on staff? You gonna do me dirty like that?
Oh, is he still working for him?
I think he's still working for him. Again, I can't get over Brian's Julian Casablancas riff on that one. I mentioned the Ravens, and you know how I am. Monday, I'll consume a lot of national stuff to see how they're talking about the NFL, right? Because you don't have all the time in the world to watch these other things, so you just kind of like, okay, what are they saying, right? And there's a lot of hyperventilating taking place about the Ravens right now. And look, last night they looked great. Lamar Jackson's even out there throwing blocks for Derrick Henry. I mean, what more can you ask? Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not about it. And I guess to get back to the start of Lightning Round and how the NFL sucks right now, I really do think maybe I'm oversimplifying here, but because the Chiefs are not dynamic, they're winning with defense and you're not getting elite levels of Patrick Mahomes. You're getting good levels of Patrick Mahomes. He's still making incredible plays like we saw this past weekend, but it's not like this crazy, I can't believe this, no look pass, that kind of stuff. It's been more physical. It's been more of a slog to watch the Chiefs more than anything else. And I'm not saying that, well, because they're undefeated, that therefore they're like the best team going. No, I think the Lions and what we're seeing out of the wild ass North ends up being pretty entertaining. But the problem when we talk about the Chiefs is we're not judging them as a regular season team anymore. It's how healthy are you going to be by the time you get to the postseason?
Can you get any of these players back, or is it going to be Kareem Hunt and
right?
Is Christian Okoye coming back from the grave?
Oh, that'd be I think he's still with us.
Okay.
Whereas the Ravens, we've seen this before. They've had incredible regular seasons. Lamar Jackson has won MVPs for a regular season award. Obviously, it's what happens when you get to the postseason, which has been a problem for the Ravens. So, by all means, entertain us on the regular season, but when it comes to the Ravens, what happens right now is immaterial because we know what they're capable of in the regular season. Let's see what happens once they get to the postseason. did get some feedback yesterday, and the general question was, or the general response was, are you sure about Manny Diaz as ACC Coach of the Year? And I'm thinking to myself, why would you question that? Duke is 6-1. Nobody expected that. And that's usually how this works. But you keep pushing on me that maybe because of the voting block now and how things are a little bit different with a different vote, that it might not go that way. I got a lot of Syracuse folks saying, hey, what about our dumpster fire?
Yeah. Hey, what about SMU? I didn't even mention
Rhett Lashley.
SMU.
Yeah.
We've seen other other teams from that American conference go to the Big 12 and struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So, there should be something to be taken into account there for what SMU is doing. The only thing I was listening to yesterday's episode, the only thing I know you were kind of sort of tongue in cheek, like you can't be the coach of the year just because you beat Florida State. Like Florida State's a flaming dumpster fire.
No.
You know what I mean?
Look, you know me, man. I was emphasizing to make a point about how bad Florida State is, to the point where another coach can look at what's going on and go, I think I know how we can win.
Yeah. There is something to that.
Okay. I mean, if I'm a big believer in let the other, you okay over there? Let the other person screw up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that's a path to winning. One more.
We've got a lot to get to. Woo. It's a lightning round.
To show you how just out of it I am with the NBA sometimes, you had forwarded me this note, like an inventory of college players in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you said there are no NC State players in the NBA currently. I'm thinking to myself, what happened to TJ Warren? What happened to Dennis Smith? Are they not in the league anymore?
Yeah.
They're not on a roster right now? Excuse me? Am I that old? Dennis Smith is not that old.
We're down to, every ACC team except State has an NBA player right now. I just saw Quavion Smith is in China, so answer that question.
Okay, here's my follow-up question to that.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter in 2024?
I think it's significant that Duke is 23. Now, I would not have come up with Virginia being second at 7.
Because remember,
would not have come up with that.
North Carolina's entire shtick was we put guys in the NBA.
Yeah.
And that was a recruiting tool. But obviously, things have changed. And how you recruit is different now. And the brotherhood and all that other stuff, they'll pump out NBA guys. But nobody ever wants to talk about, Duke pumping out NBA guys. Now it's different. It's about development, sticking guys around, all that kind of stuff. The conversation changes however you want to suit it is for your program, is all I'm getting at. But I am curious, putting guys in the NBA, does it really matter? Like, all I know is I want to go to Carolina games and they do like Tar Heels in the NBA. It doesn't pop like it used to.
Yeah, they have 5.
It doesn't pop like it used to. But again, I asked the question, does it matter? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't.
There are many topics for lightning round today on OMG.
Well, we just got done with the lightning round. And as you notice with the lightning round, you will see Sam Jones graphics with the lightning round. And Michael Letchworth from Sam Jones is in studio with us. Thank you for being a new corporate champion for Ovies and Giglio.
Yes, sir. Thank you for supporting us, and happy to be here with you guys today.
So I am curious with barbecue. I was told this once by Wright Thompson, who is a great writer for ESPN. He wrote a book about Pappy Van Winkle, the bourbon, right? And he admitted, like, look, man, I mean, can you find better bourbon at different values? Yes. But there's a story with Pappy Van Winkle. And I feel the same way when it comes to Eastern North Carolina barbecue. There is a story. And when you sit down and you eat, yes, the barbecue is good, but there's a story behind that barbecue. And that's what kind of got me intrigued by Sam Jones when I first found out about it, and making the trek all the way to Skylight Inn, obviously. For those who are not familiar with the story, what is like the Cliff Notes version of how we went from Skylight to Sam Jones in Greenville to Sam Jones here in downtown Raleigh?
Yeah, so I mean, it even starts a little bit before Skylight. The Jones family was relatives to the Dennis family, and there's stuff that says back into the 1800s. The exact date of starting to sell the barbecue is a little unknown, But this has been in this family's history for a long time.
Mhm.
And my partner, Samuel, his granddad started Skylight Inn in 1947 after working with some of his family members in their barbecue places. And Skylight Inn is still up and running, strong as ever since 1947. Samuel had the ambition to go off and start his own thing. No animosity amongst the family, as there can often be in barbecue and family, but everything was clean there. But then I got asked to be a part of that partnership, and we opened in Greenville in 2015. We opened here in Raleigh in 2021. And the real difference between Sam Jones Barbecue and Skylight Inn is the extra stuff. So we still have the core barbecue, slaw, and cornbread done the same way that Skylight Inn has forever. And we sell the baked beans and the potato salad that you used to only be able to get on Skylight Inn's caterings. And now actually Skylight sells those things. But when you're coming to Sam Jones Barbecue, you're able to get smoked chicken, smoked turkey, spare ribs, the chopped barbecue. We've got wings. You know, if you're not a barbecue person, then we've got a salad. We've got a baked potato. We've got, I mean, hell, you can get fried catfish, fried chicken tenders. You know, we had a mentor that told us that when we were creating this menu, is like, hey, it's okay to stay true to who you are. But have a couple of things to eliminate the veto vote in that car on the way to dinner.
Yeah, you gotta have you gotta keep the main thing,
Right.
And that's what drew me to your place. I always get the barbecue when I go there, but to your point, not everybody wants to have barbecue. That one veto vote, like, yeah, but the wings, because I've actually used that before, like on my kids, like, but wings, and like, oh, okay, cool,
Yeah.
and they love the wings.
So I'll have lots of mothers that'll say like, oh my God, my kid loves your mac and cheese. Like, we have to go there for the mac and cheese. And so, you know, it's also like kind of like the gateway drug, right? So
Yeah.
like we got to get them in the door with that, and then they try their friends, their barbecue. And now we got a fan.
So I did the 2 meats, 2 sides. I didn't even get to the chicken. The ribs were amazing, and there were a lot. Like I don't know how you're making money over there. It was a lot of food.
There is a lot of food, and that was what has always been kind of troublesome to me when people would kind of criticize our pricing on certain things. It's like, come on, guys, like, we're giving you a lot of food, and not only we're giving you a lot of food, we're giving you honest made food. That the prep of this food was started yesterday, and it was touched by a lot of hands, and it was made from scratch. It's all fresh food, and all that comes with an expense, and it's up to you whether you put value on that. But we're just not taking advantage of you. We're just passing along what we're doing.
It was easily 2 meals. I literally did not even get to the chicken.
Yeah.
So I can't even report to you yet, because my wife ended up eating the chicken because I bought it home. I did the mac and cheese. The beans are your fastball. I don't care what anyone says. I don't know if I'm insulting you by saying the beans are the fastball.
No.
I love the beans.
Don't be fooled by Giglio's look. He cannot complete a plate.
No, I can't.
He can't.
I struggle with
He
it.
struggles
But
all the time. I, on the other hand, years of training of garbage plating with my kids. I have trained myself. My stomach is ready to go. Oh, you're not going to finish? Like, that's what happened when we had it for lunch.
You can't wait.
And it's like, you're not going to finish that turkey? Fine. I will have the turkey because it's very good smoked turkey. So people with the expense, I'm like, can you just not offer them a tour like you did for us? I mean, we went back there. Like, I saw, like you said, that kitchen is busy with all the stuff that you guys have prepped. So, I mean, I saw it. Like, I know what you guys are doing back there.
And where you're smoking everything too is that's the
what
most
you want to
impressive.
do.
Well, also the thing about it is, though, if you just like look at the menu is scaled, right? So there's like a tray of barbecue with 1 side. There's a plate of barbecue with 2 sides.
Yeah.
Then you can get 3 meats. Okay, just because you chose the most expensive plate on the menu, we're not forcing you. Like, we don't have your hands tied. We offer you one thing, and it's outrageous.
So Joe's dream is actually to get into that smoker.
Yeah.
You want to get the thing going. You love fire. You're a little bit of a pyro.
I sat outside this time just to be close to it. Yeah. I went with my sister. I was trying to tell her, I'm like, wait till you see these.
Yeah, we have people travel from all over. I mean, I've had a guy from South America stay with us for a month, a couple from Canada, not a couple, but a couple people from Canada. So, you know, you're welcome to.
I'll sleep in there for Thanksgiving, because you guys do a Thanksgiving meal too, which is pretty cool, because I was trying to tell him, not everyone is like, you know, wants to get up and cook and do all these things. So you can order on the website, samjonesbbq.com. And you guys are on Lenore Street.
We're on the corner of West and Lenore.
Okay.
Just up from the amphitheater. And if I can touch on that holiday meal for a second, you know, that thing really sparked off for us during COVID, when we were just trying to provide options. But that meal is cold. You pick it up the day before Thanksgiving. If you really needed to do it the day before that, if you were traveling, we can make that happen. but it's just simple, man. It comes with reheat instructions. You set your oven to 350, and then you just put the items directly in the oven, and it's done.
So all you gotta do is go to the website, order stuff. And it goes beyond Thanksgiving too. I mean, you guys just do general catering, right?
So that meal in particular, we have a link on our website live right now at the top.
Yeah.
You can put that form in. Our catering director will get back to you. But we cater every day of the week. We're open 7 days a week, whether that's a pickup, a drop off. We're always here. And so for the holiday, it doesn't have to be that meal. It can be whatever you want.
And then you also have a room upstairs that you've converted as well.
I was going to say it has an official name, but I feel like there's more stories to that.
It's always about the stories, man.
To that room.
It's always about stories.
Because it used to be a garage.
So yeah, and I made some local Raleigh folks. I probably have a lot more details than I do, but so the place that we have in Raleigh used to be Dusty's, which was like a service shop, car detail shop. And we've had Dusty's family, in there a couple of times and spoken and kind of showed them around. But we tried to honor Dusty, and the owner of the building, it was important to him to do the same. And he actually had like one of the original signs that we have upstairs. So we named that room the Dewberry Room because Dusty's name was Dusty Dewberry. And they used to hang out in that room and play cards and different things. And so that is kind of like our social room.
Okay.
We use it for people who want to have like a private space that they can have a meal together.
Okay.
It may have been the DraftKings of North Carolina before DraftKings.
Hey, I can't speak to any of that.
That would have been your kind of place back in the day. What's the vibe in Greenville right now, by the way? They moved on from Mike Houston?
Yeah, man. I
know you got a lot of pirate people showing up in Greenville, your spot. So
yeah, I was out on the river Sunday fishing with my wife and son, and my wife kind of blurted that out from the front of the boat, and I was kind of caught off guard by it. Mike, I don't know Mike personally. The interactions that I have had with him were always really good. He was a big fan of the chicken wings at Sam Jones Barbecue.
Okay.
So always respect him for that. But,
yeah.
I hate to hear that for him and for his family, because I think he was a really great guy and character. And I don't know enough about sports to know whether it was justified or not. And
So I brought this up as like a way to kind of like go. You remind me. I wrote a GQ story years ago about Nick Saban when he was at Alabama, and how he wins a national championship, and the first thing he's thinking about already is I have to recruit. Like he has no time to celebrate, but he has this like weird decompress because he found the one guy in Alabama who doesn't care about Crimson Tide football.
Yeah.
So he would golf with him. He would just go. He never had to be Nick Saban around this guy. I was like, hey Nick, so how you doing? He's like, well, I just won a national championship. He's like, oh, good for you. Like he had no idea.
Good year. Oh yeah.
Cool, right? And I feel like for you to be in Greenville, just be like, that is flabbergasting to me, because everything that I know about Greenville is pirate. I mean, I got a guy, shout out to Enoch over at Nice Price who went to ECU.
Oh, baseball.
He's all about baseball, man.
Yeah.
He's talking about the jungle all the time, man. So it's just kind of funny. Like, I'm not saying that you don't like care about ECU, but it's just like, it's like that exists in Greenville.
My family was never into sports.
Yeah.
I try so hard to pay attention to sports. I'm the person who loves to have something to look forward to. And like, I try to be so into football because I can have something to look forward to on Mondays, Thursdays, Sundays, Saturdays, all these things.
Right.
But I just don't. I enjoy the ceremony around these activities.
Sure.
We tailgate. We, as a business, we support, the Pirate Club, and my wife and I graduated from college. We've always been heavily involved in football. I just,
you'd rather fish.
I much would rather fish. Yeah.
Okay. See, that you should have been a state guy. They got a bass fishing group.
So I was actually, a mentor of mine, his son goes to Clemson, and he's in like a fly fishing club. And I was like, dang on it, man. Like, I wish when I was in college, I had taken advantage of some of these clubs and these different things. And I didn't at all.
Yeah.
I just worked. I sold barbecue.
Well, you had to do something to graduate from ECU because you got to somehow keep your eyes on the prize.
I did good. I did pretty good.
My son's a sophomore there, and I try to remind him of these things. You got to keep your eyes on the prize.
Yeah, I'll be there soon. When it comes to my 16-year-old. Michael, we appreciate you dropping by, man. Appreciate you jumping on board with the podcast and being a corporate champion. And hopefully our listeners will follow suit. We work because we got people who support us, which means our listeners, you go support them. So head over to the website, get that catering, or just, drop on by for lunch or dinner and, introduce your kids to the mac and cheese if they haven't already.
Or actual barbecue.
There's
Which
that too.
now here I am at
Yeah.
nearing 50, and I feel like I had an awakening.
I told you, man. I told
when
you.
we went over 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, shout out to Hayes Permar from the Rialto
Yeah.
who caught us, talking about Sam Jones. And I was very consistent with what I've said about this style of barbecue with the crackling mixed in. And like, that was my, okay, this makes sense now. He's like, oh, now you guys are talking East Carolina. I'm like, I said specifically, Hayes, specifically. Anyway, Michael, thanks for hanging out, man.
Thanks for having us. I hope y'all will come back to see us. And
Oh, we will.
look forward to seeing some of your listeners.
Definitely will. Thanks, man. Now, all that talk about barbecue, you might find yourself in a situation where you want to make your own barbecue. That is where you go to the butcher's market. They got all sorts of cuts of meats. They've got the right wood that you need to smoke. They've got every seasoning you can imagine. Again, it's all at the butcher's market, and you can just kind of experiment and do your own thing with the meat. Big thanks to Two Roosters as well. You can make an entire evening out of it if you want to. Go to the Lake Boone Shopping Plaza area. Go to the butcher's market, get your stuff, bring it home. But before you go home, you drop by Two Roosters to get a couple pints of ice cream. So you have a wonderful dessert waiting for you when you're done.
Feels like a win.
It does feel like a win. And of course, our friend Matt Davis, insuregarner.com, theoginsurance.com. You can visit him on those websites, or you can just call him directly because actual humans in the triangle working with you at 919-779-8277. So again, hit up State Farm with Matt Davis, insuregarner.com, theoginsurance.com, or call him directly at 919-779-8277. All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe. Let's get into the YouTube comment section from yesterday from Brant. What's crazy about how bad the Haslams have been as the Cleveland Browns owners is that they also own the Columbus Crew, which might be the best run franchise in MLS. They're the defending champs, won 3 trophies in the past 2 years, and have the best coach in the league. This is what I like to call the James Dolan effect. Okay. Never underestimate the owner who really cares about the one particular sport and doesn't necessarily care about the other, but they understand it's good business. Okay. So in the case of Dolan and the Knicks, who he loves, they struggle. The Rangers, who he also owns, but doesn't really care that much about hockey. Rangers actually been pretty good. I think the same thing applies here with the Haslams, in that Haslam's a football guy. Yeah. A football guy. It doesn't necessarily mean he's a soccer guy, but he knows it's good business. Maybe that's what you can say about Tepper. By the way, I meant to mention this when we were talking about Canales and Bryce Young. I do feel like every so often when the Panthers are bad, they're kind of trickling out concert announcements. So it's like, oh, we sucked again? Shakira's coming. Okay?
Hips don't lie.
The stats don't lie. The hips don't lie. Let's focus on that. Not the stats, the hips, which do not lie. So I see where David Tepper's going on this one. From Droop, I see Giglio. I agree with Giglio that we need to move on from KC, use that money elsewhere. Offensive line, anyone? His brother is coming in here next season, so if we get a discount, maybe look at that. But otherwise, with limited funds, we do not need to break the bank on him. From Gene, so we have a presidential candidate with a man crush on Arnold Palmer's package. As Elaine said on Seinfeld, I don't know how you guys walk around with those things. You tuck them up. You get the right underwear. From Blind Lemon Jello, agreed too soon. Ovies calling for coach of the year. Shades of Lenardi. I kid. Whoa. Okay, then. From Brandon, agree on the ECU take. As a Wolfpack fan, I'd love to see ECU have a resurgence to be competitive. Very passionate fan base, a unique brand that gets attention. Garrett Riley would be a great fit for them. Definitely needs someone who understands the culture of the area and the football program. Yeah, agree with you on that one. From John, I've never forgiven ECU for firing Ruffin McNeil. That guy bled pirate purple. There are still people who are mad about the Ruffin McNeil thing, but I feel like that's a much more complicated conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. From Mike, talking about the Canes and the October road trips because of the fair, and smells like greed to me. They had the Sabrina Carpenter show there. Karma remains undefeated though. Canes lose on the road when they could have been at home. I don't know about that. I think most of the issue ends up being getting out of the arena. I know some people who went to the Sabrina Carpenter show on Saturday. It was a dumpster fire to get in. I went to see Nine Inch Nails in 2013 at the arena while the fair was going on. This was not a sold out show in 2013. And it took me a good 90 minutes to 2 hours to just get to a parking spot. I was stuck in traffic the entire time.
I think it was more of what Mike was just saying. There's an easier way to make a road trip than like all of these ins and outs of Canada. I don't mind the fair road trip. It's probably good for the team to go on the road early anyway.
From Purple Beard, Mike Houston, after building up from the Scotty Moe era, 2 straight bowl bids and a bowl win. First didn't get played because BC punked out on some COVID protocols. Completely falls off a cliff with a 2-10 record and some inexcusable losses this year. And that is not to mention his overall losing record here. Losing conference record, no wins over any in-state teams. His metrics for a coach in year 6 were not there to keep him. And he goes on and he goes and he goes and he goes on. But I think this was interesting too. Your Big 12 comments and positioning for an NC angle. I was totally surprised the SEC has not made a move for a North Carolina team as a huge FU to North Carolina ACC schools and the ACC in general. Goes on and on and on about some other stuff. But yes, I'm actually surprised that Brett Yormark, the great disruptor, has not tried to do that. And Joe, I did yesterday when we were talking about the Arnold Palmer weirdness that took place in a rally,
which I still don't know was real.
It was real. I joked that, like, I did like the old, like, hey, call the sports phone 919-444-2211, and you had pointed out
literally
to me,
go anywhere.
You had pointed out to me that, you can send images over the sports phone. You're absolutely correct.
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
Are you ready for what you're about to see?
Is this the guy at the edge of the bed? I mean,
are you ready?
We
for
have
this?
rules on YouTube,
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. DiGiorno brings back the Thanksgiving pizza topped with turkey, gravy, beans, and more. The Detroit-style pizza is already starting to roll out at Kroger stores nationwide. Joe, are you ready? This is from one of our listeners who understands my thing about why not have a Thanksgiving pizza. Anthony at Oakwood Pizza Box, why have you not made a Thanksgiving pizza? I had forgotten that DiGiorno makes a Thanksgiving pizza, and I am absolutely going to buy it, and we're going to enjoy it here in the studio, Joe.
Perfect.
Put some gravy on that bad boy. I thought that would be more disturbing to you than any other image that I was teasing you with.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand your obsession with Thanksgiving pizza, but if this means we can eat it and you get over it, then that's fine.
I'm not going to get over it until Anthony copies that dude from New Jersey and makes his own Thanksgiving pizza on a square pie.
No.
Anyway, no. It's going to wrap it up. We'll see y'all Wednesday.